So now let's understand about the sentence structure with Pioneer Education Morinda. Basically, there are four types of sentence structures in English. The first one is declarative, imperative, interrogative, and exclamatory. Well, the declarative sentences are sentences that declares or states a fact, arrangement, or opinion. So declarative sentences can be either positive or negative. A declarative sentence always ends with a period. For example, I'll meet you at the train station. He does not get up early. So these are the examples of declarative sentences. The next sentence is imperative. The imperative form instructs or sometimes requests. It takes no subject as you is the implied subject. That means that imperative forms ends with either a period or an exclamation point. So, for example, open the door, finish your homework, pick up that mess. So, phrases ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਸੀਂ use ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ just as an orders, commands or request ਲਈ. So those are called imperative structures. The next one is interrogative. So interrogative asks you a question. Interrogative sentence forms the auxiliary verb precedes the subject which is then followed by main verb. For example, are you coming? ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ next ਅੱਗੇ sentence ਹੋਏਗਾ. The interrogative sentence is always ends with a question mark. So ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਲਾਸਟ ਵਿੱਚ question mark ਲੱਗਿਆ ਹੋਏਗਾ and then ਉਹ question ਪੁੱਛਣਗੇ. They are used to ask questions. So question ਪੁੱਛਣ ਲਈ use ਕੀਤੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ. So the first example is how long have you lived in France? So ਤੁਸੀਂ France ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੋਂ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਰਹਿ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੋ? So when does the bus leave? ਬੱਸ ਕਦੋਂ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ? So do you enjoy listening to classical music? ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ classical music ਪਸੰਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ? These are called interrogative sentences. So the next form is exclamatory. Exclamatory form emphasizes a statement. For example, hurry up. That sounds fantastic. I cannot believe you said that. So ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ sentences ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ sudden emotions ਹੁੰਦੇ ਤੇ ਇਹ end ਹੋਣਗੇ, they end with an exclamation point. So these are the four basic types of sentences. So now let's talk about sentence structures that we need in IELTS. Writing in English begins with a sentence. We all know that. Sentences are then combined into paragraphs to make some sense, to gather the information, to deliver the message. So finally, paragraphs are used to write longer sentences such as essays or business reports. So the first sentence structure is the most common, that is called the simple sentences. Simple sentences contain no conjunction. They do not have any kind of conjunction like and, but, or like that, etc. For example, so these sentences are generally have simple one subject and a form of verb and then the object part. Frank ate his dinner quickly. Peter and Sue visited the museum last Saturday. Are you coming to the party? So the basic sentence forms like declarative, interrogative we have learned so far, but these are called the structures of the sentences. So how do we construct the sentences that are essential in order to score higher band scores in your IELTS? So these are the examples of simple sentence structures. The next sentence structure type is compound sentences. So compound sentences contain two statements that are connected by a conjunction. For example, and, but, or, etc. For example, this is the example of a sentence. I wanted to come, but it was late. The company had an excellent year, so they gave everyone a bonus. I went shopping and my wife went to her classes. These are three sentence examples that have a conjunction in between them. The first is but, then so, and then and. So these conjunction, what is the function of conjunction? They combine two sentences and make the sense together. If you read only one sentence, then that is not going to make that kind of sense. So in order to make that sense, we need compound sentences. The next sentence structure type is complex sentences. So complex sentences contain a dependent clause and at least one independent clause. So independent clause and dependent clause are meaning, if we want to understand it very simply in simple words. So ਇੱਕ sentence ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਆਪਣਾ meaning express ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਦੂਜੇ sentence ਤੇ depend ਹੋਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ. So if we combine those two sentences, then ਉਹਦਾ meaning form ਹੋਏਗਾ. So those sentences ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣਾ meaning ਦੱਸਣ ਲਈ ਦੂਜੇ sentence ਤੇ depend ਹੋਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ, those are called dependent clauses. So ਜਿਹੜੇ sentence ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣਾ meaning ਦੱਸਣ ਲਈ ਦੂਜੇ sentence ਤੇ depend ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ, that has its own meaning, that is called independent clause. So these are the examples. So two clauses are connected by a subordinator. For example, which, who, although, despite, if, since, etc. So for example, my daughter, who was late for class, arrived shortly after the class. So although it was difficult, the class passed the test with excellent marks. So if you read just one sentence that the class passed the test with excellent marks, this makes sense. So that means this is independent clause. But this sentence, although it was difficult, so this clause does not have an independent meaning. In order to express its meaning, it has to depend on this clause, this sentence. So this is called the dependent clause. The next sentence structure type is compound complex sentences. So in these kind of sentences, we use complex and compound sentences together. So they contain at least one dependent clause and more than one independent clause. The clauses are generally connected by both conjunctions and subordinators. For example, John, who briefly visited last month, won the prize and he took a short vacation. So in general, if you simply want to understand this, we have combined three sentences. So two are independent clauses, one is dependent clauses. So we are talking about John, who is a person. John the kuch explanation diti hai that for that we use who. John, who briefly visited last month. So extra ਜਦੋਂ information ਅਸੀਂ add ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ like this, so we need subordinators. John, who briefly visited last month, won the prize. So एक one sentence complete sentence हो चुके. So and then again we use conjunction here and he took a short vacation. So these are three sentences that we join together. So that is why this is called compound and complex sentences. Jack forgot his friend's birthday, so he sent him a card when he finally remembered. So he sent him a card when he finally remembered. So these are the three sentences that are joined together in order to form a compound and complex sentences.